You're in a queue. It's moving slowly. The person in front of you checks their phone, misses the gap. And the queue doesn't move for another 30 seconds. And something happens inside you. That feels completely out of proportion to 30 seconds. It's not just the queue. It was the email that took too long to reply. The sound someone makes when they eat. The plan that changed at the last minute. The question asked one more time. After you already answered it. If you recognize this. Not the dramatic explosions, but the constant low-grade heat. This video is going to explain something about you that most people never fully understand. Because getting angry easily is not a character flaw. It is a nervous system pattern. And it has a very specific origin. First, a distinction worth making. Anger as a response to something genuinely wrong is one of the most functional emotions a human being has. It signals a boundary has been crossed. It mobilizes action. It is not the problem. The problem is when the same intensity of reaction arrives for a slow internet connection as it does for something that actually matters. When the volume is always turned up to the same level, regardless of what triggered it. That mismatch between the trigger and the response is the thing worth understanding. Because the sensitized stress response doesn't arrive fully formed. It is built. Usually early. Usually in environments where being relaxed wasn't available as an option. Sometimes it was a household where the mood could shift without warning. Where calm didn't mean safe, it just meant not yet. Sometimes it was a household where stress was the permanent weather. Where everyone was already carrying too much and a child learned very early to read the room before they entered it. And sometimes it was simply being told repeatedly that their reactions were too much. Too loud. Too sensitive. Too dramatic. So they pushed it down. And the pressure that doesn't get released doesn't disappear. It just needs less to set it off. Here is the part most people skip over. Anger is rarely the primary emotion. It is almost always the secondary one. Beneath the anger, almost always is hurt, or fear, or exhaustion, or a feeling of not being seen that has been accumulating for longer than one conversation. Anger is the emotion that feels like action. When you're hurt, you feel helpless. When you're afraid, you feel exposed. When you're exhausted, you feel invisible. Anger feels like power. It pushes outward. It creates distance. It protects. So when someone who gets angry easily snaps at something small, they're rarely angry about the small thing. They are carrying something considerably heavier that has nowhere else to go. And the small thing just happened to be standing there. So, what do you actually do with this? Not the advice you've already been given. Count to 10. Take a deep breath. Walk away. These aren't useless. But they are downstream. They manage the water that's already over the edge. They don't address the pressure that built. The actual shift is in the direction. Not suppressing the reaction. Not exploding it outward. But finding legitimate, consistent release before the gauge gets that high. Physical output. Genuine expression. Not the performance of being fine. And the harder, slower practice. Learning to pause before the secondary emotion. And ask what the primary one actually was. Not as a technique. As a genuine question. Am I angry? Or am I hurt? Am I angry? Or am I afraid? Am I angry? Or am I just exhausted? And this was the thing that happened to be in front of me? The anger didn't come from nowhere. It came from somewhere that made complete sense. And it will not disappear overnight. But understanding why the dial is stuck is the first real step to being able to reach for it differently. The anger didn't come from nowhere. It came from somewhere. And somewhere has a reason. You were never just difficult. You were never just too much. You were a nervous system that learned to stay ready in an environment where ready was necessary. That isn't permanent either. If this found someone who needed it, you know what to do with it. See you next week.